Hey y'all, what's up? Willis here. So I think I'm going to start calling my channel Random Woodworking. I work on a lot of different projects. I get bored if I do the same thing. So anyhow, so welcome to officially to the Random Woodworking channel. And what I have here, and I'm going to show you up close, what I have here is a dining room chair that a friend of mine brought to me. We see there's a piece that's broke out of it. I'll show you right here. It goes right in here. Now, this is one of those things that I don't particularly do, but it's for a real dear friend of mine, and I just couldn't say no to him. So anyhow, I keep having those situations. I've taken and cleaned out. You can see that somebody else has repaired this once before. I see where they put some, I'm not sure what they used on it. I've never seen a contact that looks like that, but they tried to put something in there to repair this chair once before. And the top of this is broken out pretty bad. But what I've discovered when I was kind of looking at it and investigating what it was that we could do with it, I realized that this piece slides in there and this one just attaches like that. And this point right here seems to be the weak point, and this is where it keeps breaking. If this is the weak point, then we have to make sure we secure this point really well. And basically what I've done and come up with is I have decided to take and drill. Now you see there's a hole there. Somebody had either ran a nail or a screw in there. They had this repaired once before and it didn't hold. And let me say this, if you're repairing something like this, you really don't want to run a screw in a place like that or try to nail it, because it really is going to break this again. You see there's a little hole right there which you can't see, but they split this side off trying to do that once before. So if you do that, you're going to take the risk of just breaking it more. So that really isn't a good option. But so what I've done is I've taken a very small bit and bored this out to where it goes back in there, and we've got it like that deep. So what I decided to do with it was a way to anchor this, since this is the weak point, is to take a piece of wire. Now this is nothing more than a hanger, and use that as a dowel. Clearly we can't do anything in wood that small because it won't hold. So I'm going to do it in this wire hanger, and then we're going to put some epoxy in there, and with any luck that will help secure that. So I actually was doing this on camera earlier and my audio dropped out, so I'm not sure if you're going to see me drilling this out, but I basically did it with my finger, just turning it, not doing anything more than just rotating it with my finger and getting it to the depth that I wanted it. And I have a limited depth there, so I had to make sure that I wasn't going past my limited depth. And I have cut a piece of wire that is just a little bit shorter than what this is, because I don't want that wire to protrude out. Once we get this epoxied in there, I'll fill that little hole and we'll cover it up. Now that we've got all that done, we are going to use some, it's called System 3 Quick Cure 15. It's It's a 15-minute epoxy, and the mixing ratio to this stuff is 1:1, so it's not really that difficult to work with. And it does have a total cure rate of 72 hours. So today's Friday, I guess what, 2 p.m.? So I'm gonna do this and let it set over the weekend. And I won't take this apart until probably Monday afternoon, just to be sure that it gets as good a cure as it can. I've got a little stick here that I'm gonna use to push this epoxy into the places where I need it to go. You can also use a brush, and I'm also gonna use this wire to push some up in there and force some of that epoxy in there. It's a 1:1 ratio, so I'm not gonna be too crazy about measuring it out. We're not gonna mix that much. So this is part A and part B. And we're just gonna run a dab about like that. And put this one over here so we can measure it. What do you think? 1:1? I think so. I think that will work. Just take this stuff and mix it together. Whoo, it stinks. Make sure it's mixed together real good so it can work properly. Set this chair upside down, and I'm gonna turn it here and see if you can see what I'm doing, but we're just gonna take this epoxy and feed it in there. Now, you don't want to get too much of this on there so you have it bleeding out too much, but you definitely have to have enough to get it to bond properly. And we've got a really big gap in this piece of wood in here, so I'm going to put quite a bit in there. And then we'll clean it up at the end. Now we're going to put some on right here, and I'm going to also take it and push it in that hole. Make sure we get some up in there. Just take your time. This is 15-minute, not 5 minutes, so that's why I did the 15. Now let's put some on here. You can feel it starting to set up a little bit, so. That out of the way. Put a little bit of that epoxy on the tip of that little pin I have. And just push that in there. Take this wire and push it in there real good. There, that's perfect. It's just buried. Oh no. Excuse me. Let's cancel that. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so I've taken a clamp and put some foam on it just to protect this, and also in case any squeeze out comes on. Something like this is a little bit difficult to clamp. You don't want to break anything else, but we got to have it hold. I think I'm going to put another one up here. There we go. So we're just gonna let that sit up. We'll take it apart Monday. Okay, so welcome back. We are now 4 days since we have done the epoxy and the repairs on this, and it's time to take it out of the clamps. Let's see if we can, in fact, what we had was a repair right here. This seems to be the weak point right here. So that was where we had to really focus on and make sure that we got that real solid. And you see I'm twisting it and it's not moving, so that's good. That's good. This side over here I did some epoxy up at the top of it. It was starting to break loose just a little bit. So we'll do a little bit of repair on that, but let me show you what we did. And I'm going to try to get this really close to where you can see that little hole right there. That's what we were focusing on, and somebody had put in a nail or a screw right there, and I ended up cleaning it out and boring it slightly bigger. I took a 1/16 inch bit and kind of drilled it out, and then used a looks like a 5/64 just to get it a touch bigger so it would fit this wire. And we cut a piece of wire that was approximately 5/8 to 3/4 of an inch long, and it goes all the way back up in there. It looks like the wire was the secret. All right, so what I have here is it's called a finish putty. The color in it is dark mahogany, which is basically what this is. You're going to see it's a little bit redder than this. The one thing you want to be careful about when you use something of this nature that's maybe what's called a finish putty, and basically what it is it's just kind of pasty. And it does dry, but it takes quite a while. And typically, I just take something, pull a little bit of this out, but I have learned over time that you kind of want to, if you use one of these styles of finish putties to fill anything like this, you do want it to be a little bit lighter than your actual color. I don't know why that is, but it kind of tends to get, I don't know, when it's too dark, it shows. When it's lighter, it seems to hide it a little bit. Now I'm going to push some of this in here. And yes, it is much lighter. I also have some of this in black, and on occasion I'll take and mix two colors together if I need to tweak the color a little bit. Much to my chagrin and befuddlement, I guess would be the word, I have misplaced my touch-up kit satchel bag, and it has all of these putties in it. This is the only one I could find. Thank God it is the right color. I was a little frustrated, but I guess what is life without a little mystery in it, right? You gotta have a little mystery in it. So what I'm gonna do, you put that finish putty on it. You put that finish putty in the hole and then just kind of wipe it off with a clean rag, and it will kind of set in there, and then that's going to dry up. It's going to take a little while. If you look up here, you'll notice that this is chipped out right here. So that's a little bit lighter. And on this side, it's pretty much the same scenario. But I am real happy with how strong that came out right there, because that point right there, that was the critical pass. Now we're going to put a little of it over here, and it looks really bad when it's that light. You look at it and you go, wow, that's not going to match at all. But it will. Like I said, I probably should have a little bit of black to put in it, but honestly, this is really going to fill it just fine. And we're going to take out a lot of it so that it kind of holds it in there and not become this thing of like a shiny new penny. So it fills it and covers it, but doesn't make it so obvious. And then we're going to take this chair and deliver it back to our dear client. He's been asking me. I've had it about a week and a half now. And he's been asking me if it's done. It's his mother-in-law's chair, so he's pretty excited about getting it done for her. She's been after him for a while to repair it. He's a contractor. He didn't want to do it, but I guess you could say he has a guy. Buff that out. We're going to wipe this whole chair down with some furniture polish before we take it back to him. That way, it'll be nice and shiny. And it will cover up some of these scratches that are on this thing. These chairs, they get used, and that's what you're supposed to do with them. So let's close that up. There we go. I do believe this project is in the books. All it took was a piece of wire. Clothes hanger. That's all that is. Clothes hanger. It's very strong. It's hard to bend. So it's a good piece of wire to have around in your shop, or if you're doing anything, any type of repairs. Don't neglect the idea that you can in fact use metal inside of wood to strengthen it, because there's no way we would have been able to put a wood dowel in there and make that strong enough to hold. So until next time, thank you so much. Glad to have you back, and we'll do it again on the next random episode.